Hello everyone and welcome again to my YouTube channel. Today we are gonna start a very important series, you can say, which is systemic circulation. So in this part of series, in today's video, we will discuss about the basis of systemic circulation, that is aorta. So aorta will be our main focus for this part of video. And also before starting that important part, which is aorta, we will look forward for the basics of blood circulation throughout the body. So let's start firstly the basics of blood circulation throughout the body. So if we see, then blood circulates through the body in two main circuits. The first one is pulmonary circuit, which is also known as lesser circulation. Lesser circulation. So the lesser circulation starts from the right ventricle, okay, and goes from the pulmonary trunk to both of the lungs, and the oxygenated blood is carried from the two pulmonary veins from each lung, carries oxygenated blood to left atrium. So this is the pulmonary circuit. This one is the pulmonary circuit. The second one comes over here is the systemic circuit. Systemic circuit, about which we are gonna study today and onwards. Circuit, which is also known as greater circulation. The greater circulation starts from the left ventricle, through aorta, and then from aorta the oxygenated blood is supplied to various parts of body, the upper part and the lower part, by its different parts, and different arteries arising from its different parts. Okay, then deoxygenated blood is further carried out to the right atrium by superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So this circulation is the greater circulation. Okay, so as I said that it starts from the aorta, and aorta starts from the left ventricle. So aorta is the basis which circulates the oxygenated blood to all parts of the body. Okay, so today's our main focus will be aorta, and we will see the parts of aorta, and what are the branches, and what are the main arteries arise from aorta and its different parts, and then we will look for those main arteries separately in different parts of our videos. So this was the systemic circuit. So now we will start about aorta. So before starting out, I'd like to remind you about systemic circuit, how the blood flows throughout the body. Okay, main pathway of blood through which the blood flows is, firstly, the blood goes from aorta to main arteries, then it goes from main arteries to arterioles, then from arterioles it goes to capillaries, then from capillaries it moves towards venules. Okay, then from venules it moves towards veins, then from veins it goes in two main circulatory veins, you can say, which are superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Okay, and these superior vena cava and inferior vena cava finally drains their blood into the right atrium. So this is the pathway of systemic circuit. So we are gonna start the basis of systemic circulation, which is aorta. So guys, let's start about aorta. Guys, aorta is the biggest artery of our body. Aorta consists of three parts, from which the first part is the ascending aorta. Which can be easily understood by this picture. If we talk about the topography of ascending aorta, then ascending aorta begins from the left ventricle, and from left ventricle it rises above to the level of third intercostal space. It forms an enlargement over here, which is known as bulb of aorta, about which we studied in the previous videos when we discussed about the blood vessels of heart. So from this bulb of aorta, two main arteries arises, which are named as coronary arteries. So if we look here, the ascending part of aorta is little behind and to the right from the pulmonary trunk, okay, and it rises up, and on the level of right second rib cartilage it will transform to the arc of aorta. So at the level of right second rib cartilage it will transform into the arc of aorta. So in topography we clearly know that it begins from left ventricle, okay, and lies just little behind and to the right of pulmonary trunk, okay, and at the level of right second rib cartilage it gets transformed into the second part, which is the arc of aorta. So this was the first part of aorta, which is ascending aorta. Now let's discuss about the second part of aorta, which is the arc of aorta. Okay, so in this given picture it is clearly visible that the first part we studied before is not given here, okay, the second part is given here, which is the arc of aorta, okay. As we studied before that the ascending aorta at the level of right second rib cartilage gets transformed into the arc of aorta, okay. This arc of aorta further at the level of fourth thoracic vertebra gets transformed into the third part of aorta, which is known as descending aorta, okay. So let's look for the topography of arc of aorta, okay. We can clearly see in this picture that on the back side of arc of aorta, the arc of aorta is in contact with the trachea from behind, and this picture clearly explains that the prominent side or the main side of arc of aorta is in contact with left brachiocephalic vein in front, okay, and below the convex surface of arc of aorta passes the right pulmonary artery, which arises from the bifurcation of pulmonary trunk. On the left side we can see that lies the pulmonary trunk over here, pulmonary trunk. Okay, on the right side lies the superior vena cava, superior vena cava. Okay, the arc of aorta from its convex surface is attached to the pulmonary trunk through a very important ligament on the point of view of exam is the arterial ligament. Okay, arterial ligament, you should remember it by your heart that the arterial ligament is the ligament which connects two blood vessels. This is the only ligament which connects two blood vessels together. Okay, so arterial ligament is the ligament which connects or binds arc of aorta or aorta to the pulmonary trunk. Okay, it can be asked, and it is a very important and very favorite question on theoretical aspects. Okay, so you will have to just remember this arterial ligament, and I'd like to give it 5 star. So let's look now for the topographies and write in a very simple way. So we saw that the arc of aorta begins at the level of right second rib cartilage. Okay, in the front was lying the left brachiocephalic vein. On the behind lies the trachea. On the behind, it is in the contact with the trachea. On the right side, we saw that it is in the contact with the superior vena cava. Okay, on the left was existing the pulmonary trunk, and under the convex surface of arc of aorta passes the right pulmonary artery. Okay, and finally at level of fourth thoracic vertebra it gets transformed into descending aorta. So at the level of T4 vertebra it gets transformed into descending aorta. So, and the very important point which we studied here was about the arterial ligament. It connects arc of aorta to pulmonary trunk. So the topography is completed. Now let's see the major blood vessels which arise from this part of aorta. They can be easily remember, or can be easily understand in this picture. Okay, so we will try to name these blood vessels shown here. Okay, from right side to left side, from which on the right side exists the brachiocephalic trunk. Okay, the first vessel. Left to the brachiocephalic trunk lies the common left carotid artery or left common carotid artery. Okay, and left to the common left carotid artery lies the left subclavian artery. Okay, so blood vessels which arose from the arc of aorta we studied. The first one was brachiocephalic trunk, which was present on the right side. Okay, and we are moving from right to left. So just left to the brachiocephalic trunk was common left carotid artery. Okay, and just left to the common left carotid artery was left subclavian artery. So it was about the second part of aorta, which is the arc of aorta, the very important part. Now let's move towards the descending aorta. Okay, Descending aorta is also a very very important part, because it supplies the lower part of the body, which is the abdomen, some part of thorax, and the lower limbs. Okay, so let's move towards the descending part of aorta. In this picture, it is clearly explained here that at the level of T4, the arc of aorta is transformed into the third part of aorta, which is the descending aorta. Okay, so before the beginning, or just in the beginning of this part, there is a small narrowed section present over in the beginning of descending aorta, which is known as the isthmus of aorta. Isthmus of aorta. Okay, so now without wasting our time, let's move towards the third part of aorta, which is descending aorta. So it can be easily understand in the previous part which we studied before, that at the level of T4, the arc of aorta gets transformed into the descending aorta. Okay, and in the beginning there is a constricted area or constricted section which is known as the isthmus of aorta. Okay, this descending aorta is further classified into 2 to 3 major parts on the basis of their location in our body. Okay, these 2 to 3 parts, why am I saying 2 to 3 parts? Because third part is not completely an aorta, but it is said to be a part of aorta. Okay, let me explain you the parts. The first one is thoracic aorta. The part of aorta which is located in the thoracic cavity is known as the thoracic aorta. The second part is abdominal aorta. The part of aorta which is located inside the abdominal cavity is known as the abdominal aorta. And third comes the pelvic aorta. The pelvic aorta is nothing else but is a branch or an artery which is arising from the terminal part of abdominal aorta. The name of that artery is median sacral artery. That median sacral artery is passing towards the pelvic cavity. That's why that is also known as pelvic aorta, that median sacral artery. Pelvic aorta, due to median sacral artery. So these are the 3 parts of descending aorta. In this part of video, we will discuss about thoracic aorta and abdominal aorta. About pelvic aorta we will discuss separately, when we will discuss all the branches and main arteries of aorta will be explained in other videos. Okay, so at that time we will discuss the pelvic aorta. Now at this time we are gonna study thoracic aorta and abdominal aorta. So let's start about the thoracic aorta. Let's look for the topography of thoracic aorta. As this descending limb of arc of aorta reaches the lower border of 4 thoracic vertebra, okay, it gets transformed into the thoracic aorta. Okay, so at this point, this thoracic aorta goes just left to the vertebral column. Okay, but when it moves through the posterior mediastinal area, it slowly moves towards the right side. Okay, and when it passes through the 2 cruras of diaphragm, it gets situated on the anterior surface of 12 thoracic vertebra. Okay, if we talk about the topography of thoracic aorta, then the topography of thoracic aorta can be easily understood by several images. One of those images is this image. Okay, so as you can clearly see, on the left side of the aorta lies this mediastinal pleura. Okay, and also the lung. Okay, and on the right side also you can see here lies the right mediastinal pleura and the lung in the lower part of aorta as it moves towards the right side. When it moves towards the right side, right mediastinal pleura and right lung lies to its right side on its lower part. So when we remove this mediastinal pleura of both sides and look for the individual side separately, then we will see that on left side, when mediastinal pleura and lungs are removed, then on the left side of it lies the hemiazygous vein also. In this picture is not shown the hemiazygous vein. This vein shown here is the accessory hemiazygous vein, which is a part of hemiazygous vein. So on the left side, as we talked now, that on the left side of descending aorta lies the left mediastinal pleura, left lung, and hemiazygous vein on the left side. And when we look for the right aspect of this descending aorta, then we will see that when right mediastinal pleura and the lung lying inside that is removed, then we can clearly see that on the right side of the lower part of this thoracic aorta lies this azygos vein and the thoracic duct also, which is not clearly visible in this picture, but lying just medially to the azygos vein. Okay, so we know that on the right side lies the azygos vein, right mediastinal pleura, and the right lung in the lower part of this thoracic aorta. Okay, and also the thoracic duct also lies to the right side of the thoracic aorta. Okay, and when we look for its anterior aspect, which can be clearly seen here, from here you can see that in the front of this descending aorta lies the root of left lung. Okay, the root of left lung is the contents enters and exits from the left lung. Okay, this is the main bronchi and the other veins and arteries which removes blood or provides blood to the lungs. Okay, so it was the frontal aspect here. Okay, and also the esophagus, which was lying just to the right side at the lower part, it gets in front of this thoracic aorta. So these are the topographies of thoracic aorta. And now let's write down all these topographical measures of thoracic aorta. So as we discussed before, that the arc of aorta at the level of fourth thoracic vertebra, or the lower border of T4 vertebra, it gets converted to thoracic aorta. Okay, in the front of thoracic aorta, we discussed that in the upper part lies the root of left lung, which is clearly visible in the picture shown here of left lung. And at the lower part of this thoracic aorta, the esophagus, which was lying just to the right side of this aorta, at the level of 8th to 10th thoracic vertebra, this esophagus gets situated in the front, on the front of this thoracic aorta. So esophagus also lies in the front of this thoracic aorta at the level of thoracic vertebra 8 to thoracic vertebra 10. At this level, this esophagus lies to the front of this aorta. So when we look for the left aspect here, we saw that here lies the left mediastinal pleura and left lung, and also lies the hemiazygous vein, which is not clearly visible here and not shown in this picture. Okay, but you need to remember that hemiazygous vein also lies in the left side of thoracic aorta. So this was the left aspect of thoracic aorta. Now we know on the right side we saw that the right mediastinal pleura and the right lung was lying in the lower part of this thoracic aorta, and on the upper part of this thoracic aorta in the right side was lying the thoracic duct, and also the azygous vein, just in the above part, in the upper part. Okay, in the upper part was lying the thoracic duct and azygous vein, whereas in the lower part was lying the right mediastinal pleura and the right lung. These were lying in the lower part of the thoracic aorta. Okay, so at the level of T11 to T12, when the thoracic aorta moves outside through the two cruras of diaphragm, it gets converted or transformed into the abdominal aorta. Okay, two crura of diaphragm, it converts thoracic aorta to abdominal aorta. So this was the main topographical references which we should remember by our heart. Okay, so now let's look for the blood vessels which arise in this thoracic part of aorta. So before looking for the blood vessels, we should know about the classification. The blood vessels are classified into two main categories. So we should know about the classification or the basis of classification, how they are classified into two main categories. So the blood vessels of thoracic aorta are classified into two main categories. The first one is visceral branches. Okay, the another one is the parietal branches. Okay, the visceral branches and parietal branches are classified on the basis of area which they are supplying blood. Okay, the visceral branches are those branches which are supplying blood to the content of the following cavity, whereas the parietal branches are the branches which are supplying blood to the walls of the following cavity. So let's look for the visceral branches or the branches which are included in the visceral classification. Okay, so one of those branches is the bronchial branches. Okay, one of the main visceral branches is the bronchial branches, from which one of you can easily see in this picture. The branch shown just near to the left bronchus is the left bronchial artery. Okay, and just opposite to this left bronchial artery is given the right bronchial artery. Okay, these bronchial branches carry arterial blood for the lymph nodes, okay, and the tissue of lungs as far as for the alveoli. So this is the function of these bronchial branches. This is the bronchial branch, the left one. Okay, bronchial branch, this is the left one. Okay, left bronchial artery, and on the opposite side given is the right bronchial artery. Okay, the second one comes the pericardial branches. The pericardial branches which goes to the pericardium but are not shown clearly in this picture. So the another one are pericardial branches. Okay, and the third one comes here is the mediastinal branches. Mediastinal branches stretches to the connective tissue and to the lymph nodes present in the posterior mediastinal areas and provide blood to that connective tissue and lymph nodes. Okay, so third one is the mediastinal branches, and the fourth one comes the esophageal branches. The esophageal branches can be clearly seen here. So you can clearly see these esophageal branches which are supplying blood to the esophagus. These are the esophageal branches. These are the esophageal branches which are supplying blood to the esophagus. Okay, so we studied that four types of visceral branches are arising from the descending thoracic aorta. Let's write down the names of these. The first one came here was the bronchial branches. Okay, these bronchial branches were carrying arterial blood for the lymph nodes and tissues for the lungs as far as the alveoli. Okay, so there are left and right bronchial arteries which are included in these bronchial branches. So just remember that. Okay, the second one we studied here were the mediastinal branches. branches. These mediastinal branches were carrying blood to the connective tissue and to the lymph nodes of posterior mediastinal area. Okay, and the third one we studied here were the pericardial branches. Pericardial branches, which were going to the pericardium and providing arterial blood to the pericardium of heart. Okay, and the fourth and the last one we saw in the above picture were the esophageal branches, which were supplying blood to the esophagus. Esophageal branches. Okay, now the second category comes the parietal branches. This parietal branches include two types of arteries. One is the superior phrenic artery, the branch of artery which will be supplying the upper part of the or upper surface of diaphragm. So the first one will be the superior phrenic arteries, okay, which will be supplying to the superior surface of diaphragm, and they will form anastomosis with the pericardiophrenic and musculophrenic and posterior intercostal arteries. You will have to remember this anastomosis, but this anastomosis is not clearly visible in this picture, and you just have to remember this thing. Okay, the anastomosis are the very most important anatomical points which we should remember all by our heart. Okay, so the first one was superior phrenic artery, which anastomose with pericardiophrenic and musculophrenic and also the posterior intercostal arteries. Okay, and the second one here comes is the posterior intercostal arteries, from the third thoracic level to the 11th thoracic level. Okay, so these branches from T3 to T11 gets separated from the aorta. Okay, and these posterior intercostal arteries can be clearly seen in the above picture shown here. You can see here, this is these are the posterior intercostal arteries separating from the descending aorta or descending thoracic aorta. So now let's move towards the abdominal aorta. Okay, the second important part of descending aorta, the abdominal aorta. Abdominal aorta. So when we saw the thoracic aorta and we studied that the thoracic aorta passes through the two cruras of diaphragm and gets transformed into the abdominal aorta. So you can see over here that the thoracic aorta is passed through the cruras of diaphragm and is converted into the abdominal aorta. So the abdominal aorta, we can see starts at the median and aortic hiatus of diaphragm, okay, anterior to the inferior border of T12 vertebra and the thoracolumbar intervertebral disc. Okay, so descending to the vertebra to the end of the fourth lumbar vertebra, it lies a little left to the midline, and it divides into two common iliac arteries, okay, at the end. Now if we talk about the topography or the organs lying near this abdominal aorta, so we will see that at first anterior to it lies the celiac trunk, and the celiac plexus also will be present here, which is not shown in this picture clearly. Okay, and also the lesser sac, which is also known as the omental bursa, when the all organs are present in the picture. Okay, so you will observe the omental bursa also in the anterior part of abdominal aorta. Now in this picture you can clearly see that the body of pancreas with the splenic vein on its posterior surface, it extends obliquely up and left across the abdominal aorta. Okay, and then below the pancreas here will lie the horizontal part of the duodenum, which is anterior to it. Okay, in its lower part the abdominal aorta is covered by the posterior parietal peritoneum and crossed by the oblique parietal attachment of the mesentery. Okay, if we talk about the posterior aspect of aorta, then we will see that posterior to the aorta are the thoracolumbar intervertebral discs, which comprise both the L1 to L4 vertebra and their disc, and also the anterior longitudinal ligament, which is shown over here. Okay, and on the right side of abdominal aorta presents the cisternae chyli, which can be clearly seen in the given picture over here. Okay, this is the cisternae chyli. Cisternae chyli is an enlargement of thoracic duct descending in the abdominal cavity. Okay, this is the cisternae chyli. Okay, this is nothing else, just an enlargement of thoracic duct. So on the right side also lies the thoracic duct and cisternae chyli, and also the azygous vein which is ascending up, and the right crus of diaphragm is also lying to the right of it. Okay, so this was the right aspect of abdominal aorta. Okay, if we look for the left aspect of abdominal aorta, then we will see that here will be the left crus of diaphragm. Okay, left crus of diaphragm, and also duodenojejunal flexure will be present on the left side. Duodenojejunal flexure will be present on the left side. Okay, and also the sympathetic trunk, which will be descending down. The sympathetic trunk is not shown here because it will be just on the behind of all these organs. So here somewhat here will be present the sympathetic trunk also. Okay, so and on the right side we can see this ascending duodenum also, with inferior mesenteric vessels, with these inferior mesenteric vessels. Inferior mesenteric vessels. Okay, so these are the left aspect of abdominal aorta. So now the topographies of abdominal aorta are completed. So let's summarize all the topographical aspects of abdominal aorta at one fixed place. So let's write down all the topographical aspects. So as we know, at the level of inferior border of T12 vertebra, okay, or 12 thoracic vertebra, the thoracic aorta descends down the abdominal cavity and gets transformed into the abdominal aorta. Okay, on the anterior aspect of abdominal aorta, we saw that here lies this celiac trunk with celiac plexus, which will be lying over the celiac trunk, and also lies here is the lesser sac, which can be clearly visible in the picture, which contains all the organs inside the cavity. As all the organs are not visible in this picture, so lesser sac is not clearly visible here. So you will just have to remember that lesser sac is also present in anterior aspect of abdominal aorta. So lesser sac, which is also known as omental bursa, and in one picture where the organs were shown, we saw that the horizontal part of duodenum is also present. Horizontal part of duodenum is also present anterior to it, just lying here, and then the ascending duodenum, and then the duodenoflexure, which lies descends down. So we saw the posterior aspect of abdominal aorta, that on the posterior surface of abdominal aorta lies the thoracolumbar intervertebral discs, with L1 to L4 vertebrae plus their discs, and their anterior longitudinal ligament, which is descending down on the anterior surface of vertebrae and the intervertebral disc. So on the right side we saw that cisternae chyli was descending down with the thoracic duct, and also we saw that azygous vein also lies to the right side of it, and the right crus of diaphragm, which can be seen here, right crus of diaphragm. So these were the right aspect of abdominal aorta. Now let's see for the left aspects of now on the left aspect we will see that here lies the left crus of diaphragm, and we also saw the duodenojejunal flexure with the sympathetic trunk descending down to the left of the abdominal aorta. And the last part which lies just left to the abdominal aorta was the ascending duodenum with inferior mesenteric vessels. And at the level of lower border of L4 vertebra, it is divided into two common iliac arteries which are present here. Okay. And also you can see the third part of descending aorta, which I told you before. There is the median sacral artery, which is known as the pelvic aorta. You can see here, this is the third part of descending aorta, which is the pelvic aorta. Pelvic aorta, also known as median sacral artery. Okay. So this was the topography of abdominal aorta. Now let's see the blood vessels or branches arising from the abdominal aorta. So before looking for the branches, as we did in the case of thoracic aorta, we will see once again the classification of branches of abdominal aorta. Okay. So when we see for the classification of blood vessels or branches arising from abdominal aorta, they are classified mainly in two main categories. The one is parietal branches, the second category is the visceral branches. Okay. These parietal branches are always paired except one branch which is the median sacral artery. Okay. The median sacral artery is the only parietal branch which is unpaired, otherwise all the parietal branches are found in paired way. Okay. And visceral branches are further classified again in two categories. The one is paired and the another is unpaired. The one is paired branches. Okay. And the another one are unpaired branches. So let's look for parietal branches first, then we will move towards the visceral branches. As you can clearly see in the picture given here, the parietal branches which are present arising from the abdominal aorta, the first one is the inferior phrenic artery. The first one is the inferior phrenic artery, which are supplying blood to the inferior surface of diaphragm. And see, these are parietal branches and are paired. The second one comes these lumbar arteries, and these lumbar arteries are also present as paired arteries. Okay. The second one are lumbar arteries. And the third one, which is an exception, is this one, the median sacral artery, which is also known as the third part of descending aorta or the pelvic aorta. This is the third one, median sacral artery. Which is also known as pelvic aorta. Okay, so these three are the parietal branches. So let's write down these all branches which originate from the abdominal aorta. The first one we studied is the inferior phrenic artery. The second one we studied is the lumbar arteries, and the third one we studied is the median sacral artery, which is also known as pelvic aorta, and is unpaired, whereas these two are paired and this one is unpaired. So now let's move towards the visceral branches which originate from the abdominal aorta, and from visceral branches let's look for the paired branches which originate from this part of descending aorta. So firstly we can see here comes the first one are these two, which are middle suprarenal arteries, okay. These arteries supply blood to the suprarenal gland present over the kidneys, and the second one comes the renal arteries. These are also present in paired form. So renal arteries, the second one, and the third one you can see here these two, okay. These are the testicular arteries or ovarian arteries. In case of men the are named as the testicular arteries or ovarian arteries. So these three are the paired visceral branches which are originating from the abdominal aorta. So the first one was middle suprarenal arteries, okay. The second one was renal arteries, and the third one is testicular or ovarian arteries. Now let's look for the unpaired branches which are originating from the abdominal aorta. So the first one unpaired visceral branch is the celiac trunk. The second one comes the superior mesenteric artery, okay, and the third and the last one comes is the inferior mesenteric artery. So these are the three unpaired branches which originating from the abdominal aorta. So we saw the first one is the celiac trunks, the second one is the superior mesenteric artery, and the third one was the inferior mesenteric artery. These are the blood vessels which are originating from the abdominal aorta. So guys, we have completed aorta, which was the basis of systemic circulation, and now we know all the main arteries which are arising. So now further on we will discuss these arteries separately in separate videos, and now we know the basic from where the following arteries are originating. So after this video, in all other videos we will see these all branches which we discussed here, which are originating from different parts of aorta, will be discussed separately, okay. Guys, if you like the video, if you were able to understand which I wanted to make you understand, so please like the video, share it, subscribe to my channel if you have not done yet, and we will meet again with the arteries supplying to head and neck. So see you soon in the next video. Till then, take care.